Yeah, has anyone seen John? There's only 3 days of the transfer window left. I'm a bit worried we've only got one player in. You what? He's on holiday again. But we've got the Champions League starting in a couple of weeks. Is he planning to come back? You've got to be joking. Oh, fine, whatever. Lazy. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 120 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. We are back today for the Manchester Derby as we face last season's Champions League winners in a big Premier League game. And then in 3 days' time, the transfer window shuts and we're going to need a busy deadline day. We have had one senior player come in now, but it's a backup player and it ain't improving us. And after losing 2 of our back 4 from last season, we could really do with a few improvements. If you're looking forward to seeing if we get them and how we preserve our home unbeaten record at United so far, then please do put a thumbs up on it. We've got injury troubles, as you can see at the top of the screen, including the new signing that's come in. So fingers crossed we'll still be able to get a result before we move into European football. Let's have a quick look though at the transfer centre and the schedule first to see what's been happening since you were last here. We have managed to get one player in at last, with many more loan deals getting rejected for players out. And that man is the one we expected. Ariel Garcia comes in from Marseille. He's an average defender. He's now out for 6 weeks with a back fracture. That's just after making his debut for the club. To be fair to him, he played pretty well when he came on, but he's now unavailable till October, so it doesn't really matter, does it? He's a good option at left back. He's a good option at centre half, but when you consider Englishin and Duffy, we lost 3-star players. We're bringing in 1 2.5-star backup, and he's 28 years of age for virtually the same money. It doesn't really make sense. He's had a good career. He'll be a solid pro for us, but yeah, it's not quite what we're looking for. In terms of outs, many more going out on loan. A few players from the youth teams. No one really that was that near to first team level. Probably the best one was Jura Bakor, and he's 1.5-star ability. So I don't think you can say the players that we're losing are making us any weaker at the minute, but virtually this summer, we have lost Duffy and Clishin and only brought in Garcia at senior level because Carlos was on loan last year anyway. It's not a gain in the squad. We hadn't got him permanently. He would have needed to be replaced. And most worryingly, with 3 days of the window to go, we've still got 33 million to spend. We've still got 240 grand on the wage budget. And we've not seen an offer for anyone since Garcia joined the club. So I'm a little bit confused, to be honest with you, as to what's going on. You look at our bench for the weekend's game, and this is the bench that will line up in today's one as well. We've got 2 players who were part of the youth team last year, 2 on the bench who were out on loan last season, and we've got a couple starting who would have been on the subs bench last year. So we're weaker in many areas. North would have been a sub, Taylor would have been a sub, so would Hervenhoff. All of those are now first teamers, Charlie Humphreys as well. We are really not improving this team, and that is a source of concern. The good news so far is that we've only been playing just under once a week, and it means we have been picking up results. So you were with me as we continued our normal. I just saw a stat in real life this morning, actually. The Man City only beat one of the top 9 away from home when winning the title this season. That was Arsenal, their closest rivals. We, of course, lost to Liverpool last time out to continue our run of never beating a top 10 side on the road, but we win most of the others. We did so against Charlton with a 2-1 comeback victory at home. Not sure we would have won that if it wasn't for the Diego Lopez red card. At 1-1, it was getting tense, it was getting frustrating. But Joseph Taylor, last year's young player of the season for the league, he got himself 2 already, and to be fair to him, he has been a real revelation for the quality of player he is. He's also signed a big new deal now as well. At Leeds, we won by 6-2. Their defence has stayed very much the same as it was back in the day. We did get shocked early on by our former Palace player, Jürgen Clemenson. He popped up with the opener after a few minutes. I don't think I've ever seen him score. No, he didn't score for Palace with us. But after that, a complete demolition job with Deverlay and Demeter getting 1 each, North and Guido both getting braces, and that leads us into this one, hoping to produce a memorable performance. We've got a tricky tie away at West Ham in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup, so none of those friendly home ties we got in the early rounds last year. And then looking at the Champions League, well, it's a pretty tricky group, isn't it? I say a group, it's a league phase now, but Villarreal, Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid, those two away from home as well. Shakhtar, Monaco, PSG, and then Salzburg and Sporting at the end. So we'll see how that progresses as the year goes on. For now though, let's go straight into the fixture. It is Manchester City, Jurgen Klopp's Man City, in the Manchester derby. Dominant in the league until last year where Liverpool took their crown. They made amends by beating them in a Champions League final. So it's the European champions against the resurgent neighbour. But can we get back on top? Let's go and find out in front of a sold out Old Trafford. And this is basically the only team we've got to pick from. The 9 subs are the only 9 that are fit. The Buen is not going to be risked just before an international break. And that means our 11, well, it's far weaker than last year, isn't it? We've got George Robles in goal, who is really improving as a keeper coming towards his prime. Simmons and Humphreys, the fullbacks, both academy graduates now into their 20s, with Deverley and Hervenhoff as centre-half. Ocon and Hodgkinson the midfield too. I did think about playing Carlos, but I want to have a goal threat at home. And then Demeter and Taylor on the wings, Guido behind North up front. It's going to be a tricky one with a much weaker squad than last year. Can we get the job done with several average academy graduates that at least know what it's like to be a Manchester boy? Well, let's go and find out. Into the first game we go, and then deadline day will be the focus. Well, into the game, it's a City side that have got all those stars that were injured for the big match at the end of last season. Godwin, the star striker, who's as good as Haaland at the start of the game. Spassov, our former Palace youngster, who's a superb, wonderful player now. And then Prete, of course, has caused us heartache before. 3 of that England back 4 from the Euros and Eliseu in goal. Let's tell the lads to pick up where they left off because the last 2 performances going forward have been really good. We still look a little shaky defensively, but hopefully we can preserve that unbeaten record. At home, we have not lost a game at Old Trafford yet. If ever there's a risk, it's probably this one though, as Prete gives the ball away to Taylor and Guido wins it for Hervenhoff. We are still pressing high, we're playing intense. We want to make sure we win the ball early. It's our only chance. We can't let them have it. As Demeter gets it wide to the left to Taylor. You ask why we don't go more defensive on the road, things like that. Well, Duffy was the holding midfield option, who's now gone. And equally, we don't have a defence that can soak up pressure. So we have to play this way. As Ocon gets in early on, oh, it's almost a perfect start. How was that missed? It was so close. A whisker away, it almost clipped the post on its way through. A great midfield run from Henry Ocon. A 0-0 and a centre-half on a yellow card. Almost a perfect start. Now it's a little bit troublesome. As Scaroni puts the corner in, Robles comes and claims. He's going to have a big season this year, I'm sure of it. Got options at fullback, but will he just go long? He does. Big ball over the top, no one's there. Stansfield heads away for Jurovic and Ticini. Into Borelli. It's a bit weird watching this City team where almost half of them I've managed before. So it's into the front post to Godwin. It's his turn to go close. That one does hit the frame of the woodwork. And thankfully, it stays out. As Kelleher's got a throw on the left. It's an all-Palace left wing here, isn't it? As Scaroni gets it into Preta. Good ball for Stansfield. Back to Godwin just over. City are coming into it now. We're starting to live dangerously. And at the moment, this could go either way. Well, half-time. Only 1 shot on target. That came right at the death as well. But no more highlights. No more real intensity. It's been a very cagey game. Of course, I wouldn't mind this result because it keeps our unbeaten record at home. Over a season in charge, it's a remarkable effort. But I would like to get the win because away from home in these games, we're not going to. So we've got to make up the ground somewhere. And last year, at home to Liverpool and City, we did manage to pick up 6 points. As Stansfield gets the ball to Ticini. Here's Pret and Stansfield again. Without the injuries, they look a far bigger threat. As Stansfield to the byline. Brilliant from Simmons. And now away to Taylor. Not quite got the trickery of base out or the quality, but that's not a bad effort at the ball. North is beaten to it by Parsons, and Demeter will bring it down the right. He skinned his man. Chance to cross from the byline. North's up. Brilliant header. The target man's in there, and he's done his job. It's a wonderful glancing header. Demeter does his bit, just knocks it past his man, and floats it up to the front post. A super effort. It's 1-0 to Manchester United. And in a nothing game, you've got to have a moment of magic. And there we've produced it. As Simmons takes the throw in from the left to Jurovic. Intercepts for Borelli and a big ball forward to Spassov. It might come back to hit us as quick as we've got the lead there. But Ocon does brilliantly. You can't argue with the lads. They're fighting hard. Humphreys gives it away. Demeter wins it straight back. They're giving everything, and North's been released. It's a great ball from Hodgkinson. Joel North's in. Oh, he's tried to dink the keeper. It was good effort, to be fair. Stansfield cleared it off the line. Looked far too high initially, but it dropped down quick. In the end, it had to be rescued by the England right back, as Borelli brings the ball away. An hour gone. We'll make a sub in a moment, because Taylor's been awful on the left. Not sure who we can bring on, to be honest. And Kelleher will come down the left wing here. City on the attack. Spasov's ahead of him. Got space to run into. We know the quality he's got. Cuts it back for Godwin. Brilliant deflection, Hervenhoff. Threw his body in front of it. Got it out for the corner. Now it's whether we can defend it with a very short team. I guess the benefit of the injuries is we've got 3 6-footers. And the goalkeeper, Robles, is claiming everything. Brilliant work from him. We've talked and had a bit of a laugh about the balance of the squad. But in all seriousness, have a look at this. There is nobody else who can play left wing in this squad. Ocon can play on the left of a midfield 4. Can play a bit further forward, but it's a waste of brilliant talent. We've not got the option, so I'm going to have to bring on... I think probably we go for Antonio Carlos. We're going to move Demeter to the left, which we did once or twice last year, and Guido to the right. But what it is going to do is make us much more narrow. And you saw from our method of attack and where we've been most dangerous in this game, it is probably going to harm us going forward. But equally, I feel like we have to give it a go. So I'm going to go for 2 inverted wingers on attack. Let's just batter the ball over the top and get in behind. 1 change made, 25 to go. And at the moment, we've got the lead, which is all that matters. Well, thankfully for us, the game is petering out here, but we've got a few very tired legs at the back. So Humphreys has just come back from injury. I'm probably going to have to replace him with Vanderson, get the experience on. Guido on the right is struggling. I've not even got Adam Hunter because he's injured as well, the youngster. So we're probably going to have to go for... Maybe I have to go Vanderson and put Solis back. Solis to right back, Vanderson in front. And then he'll be a winger on support now. Just gives us a bit more defensive shape. And then we're also going to take off Ocon, who's struggling. He'll be replaced by Kabadis with Carlos dropping into midfield. We've got 10 minutes to go. We've been really good so far. We've been in the game. We've been competitive. And we're trying to keep ourselves in front. There's only a few minutes remaining. We keep praising the lads. They're doing really well. And now we're going to get all the time wasting on. I apologise in advance. You all know the drill by here. We're going to go to balance. We're going to time waste all the time. We're going to be more disciplined. We're going to slow it down when we've got the opportunity. When possession has been won, we're still going to counter. We've got to have an attacking threat. And we're going to make our final sub as well. But I'm not sure who it's going to be. Do I bring on Benegas maybe? Have an extra defender on the pitch. Devilay's really struggling. He's nervous. Benegas is apprehensive himself. I mean, I don't really know what to do here. I'm a little out on my depth. Not got anyone who can play on the left of midfield either, have we? Jones can play centre mid. Isaac Simmons is a left-sider. I mean, what I'm going to do, I think, I'm going to take off North or Demeter. It'll be North. So Demeter's going to go through the middle. Jones is going to drop here. We're going to swap him with Simmons. And then Simmons will be, if we can get it right, defensive winger on support. There we go. Vanderson will do exactly the same on the right. Defensive winger on support. Carlos will be a deep line playmaker on support. And Kabadis will be an attacking midfielder on support. We are in no rush to get it forward. We are not going to counter now. We're going to make sure we keep it tight. Let's go and get through the 4 minutes of stoppage time. We are time wasting our way to a 1-0. But it's worked, and that is all that matters at this point. A big win for Manchester United. A pretty ugly win, if we're being honest. We've done the job. We get the 1-0 win in a derby. Now, John Murtough, for God's sake, will you please do some work? Well, we're back. It's transfer deadline day. I've not even agreed to take part yet, and I'm already in a strop because another one of our backup players have been loaned out. Yes, it's someone who's not great, who went out last year in Oscar Benegas, but we've lost 2 defenders from our first 11 last year. We've got one who's now completely over the hill, and we've only signed one who's already injured. And he's let another one go. He's an Argentinian international. He's a good footballer. I just don't understand the process here. We are running out of players very quickly. These are the ones we're rumoured to sign. So we've got a striker called Sammy on loan from Southampton, who I'm pretty sure we're not going to get. We've got a centre-half from Bayern for 40 million. Probably the best player we could hope to get today. And then Pablo Cabrera is a River Plate attacking midfielder. Yes, please, I would take that. You can find a way to get the bottom two done. You might just make amends, but if you do it by selling Jones, Hervenhoff and De Buyne, we could be in a spot of bother. So we are linked with those players. De Buyne is heavily linked with Bournemouth. Let's just see what happens, because this summer he's tried to sell everyone and anyone. There was another player, actually, I didn't mention since the last episode. Trying to remember who it was now, but he accepted another offer from Real Madrid for another one of our first teamers. But thankfully, they've all rejected the opportunity to go. Let's take part in deadline day. 15 hours to go. Let's see who comes. More importantly, who goes. Well, I thought I'd give you a quick update of the midway part because there's literally nothing happening with 7 hours to go. A few bits of money coming in for players that are moving on elsewhere. So this one is the biggest, 700 grand. The transfer budget now, there was one rejected offer for Kieran Jones, but again, that's pretty incidental at the minute. £34 million to spend, £250,000 a week in wages, and all you're doing is trying to sign a 71-year-old scout from Bournemouth. I mean, I'm mind blown at the minute. John Murtough, you are not helping yourself here. You have got 7 hours to save face because otherwise we are in big trouble. The Champions League starts soon and we have not got the squad to compete. 3 or 4 injuries and we're done. There's 1 hour to go. There's no sign of an offer. There hasn't been an offer all day. I know Chris Casper knows these United boys and a lot of the people that have been involved in the club, but surely it can't spread that much. How on earth has there not been an offer for a player? I mean, he's even had the option. You look at this John Murtough one here. Espanyol, who are our feeder club, we have first option to match a bid. And within budget, Inter have made a bid for a wonder kid right back, and he's rejected that as well. Not only have we ended the window weaker than we started it, we've ended deadline day weaker than we started it. Yes, he's rejected a few other loan offers away, but Oscar Benegas has left. He is a backup defender. Anthony Duffy, as we know, was first choice left back last season, or right back, whichever way you look at it. Klishin was first choice centre half. Antonio Carlos returned from his loan, and Ariel Garcia. That is literally all he's done. I mean, what's going on, John? Seriously? You've got 1 hour, but nothing's going to happen, is it? Well, I think we better start deciding which competitions we want to prioritise because we can't compete in all 4 now. This is an absolute disaster. To not spend the money you've got, to make a £35 million profit and just keep it in the club. The finances now, after we got them back to the Champions League, are looking great, and it'll be even better once the football starts. And it's just been wasted. It's been ignored. I'm speechless. I'm so annoyed that John Murtough. But do you know what the deflating thing is? I kind of expected it. And that's the worst bit about it. Player wage expenditure. We're 9th. This is Manchester United. We had one the other week about turnover and we were 3rd behind Spurs and Liverpool, with City just behind us. And we're 9th on wage expenditure. We're behaving like a mid-table club behind the scenes. There's no plan, there's no structure. They're saying you've got to sell before you buy, but once you've sold, you've got to do the buying bit still. And it is a very dark day for me because I thought with maybe a couple of defenders or a backup defender and midfielder coming in, maybe we'd have the squad to compete for top 4 again whilst going for a cup. But now the domestic cups I've basically got to throw because the Champions League is where the money is. And if I want to take things to the next level next year, it's the only way I'm going to do so is by getting in loads of Champions League money. Infuriating. And if we go and have a look at deadline day, we saw when we played Liverpool, they'd spent 160 million this summer. They'd pushed on to the next level. If we go and have a look at the top now, so many big signings. Spurs, one of the sides that were behind us last year, spent 50 million on a fullback on deadline day. I mean, that's the difference we're talking about here. All of the other big clubs have invested. All of them have bought in 2, 3 or 4 big top-class players. Whereas we've bought in one backup defender for 35 million, pocketed the other half of the money, and sold 2 players for more than our biggest signing. It is just bizarre. It really is bizarre. I'm not sure what to expect from this season now because we've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot more games than last year. And we've now got, I can say it, a significantly weaker squad. We've already got a few injury problems. We will have more this year playing the amount of football we are. And I'm not sure that we've got the mettle to compete. We've certainly not got the numbers. So we might have to look at a few, well, very poor players in the youth team to promote, but might be our only option at this point. And then we've got to decide what to prioritise. The likes of the Carabao Cup, I would have loved to have won a trophy this year, but it's probably going to have to go on the back burner now. So I think we're going to come back for one of the next two Champions League games. We'll get past Villarreal, but then we've got Arsenal and Inter at the end of the month, or Newcastle and Atletico at the start of October. I think we'll do the latter there, just so we get through this as quickly as possible, because it's going to be a pretty average year, and we just need to get to the next window. So I'm going to get through the first lot of games, and then we will be back mid-October, following the next international break, and it will be Newcastle and Atletico Madrid in back-to-back tricky away ties. If you're looking forward to seeing how we get on, you did enjoy the big derby win against City, which feels a lifetime away ago now. And please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know in the comments what you think of John Murtough and that transfer window, because it's just bizarre. Manchester United have become a selling club, but to not even spend the budget you've got is just baffling. Let me know where you think we'll finish. What should we prioritise? Am I right to say League and Champions League? And then we just have to throw the cups and accept it. Yes, I'd love to win something, but we've got to bring money in now. And that is the only way we can really do it. If you want to stay up to date and find out how the season goes, then subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back with our Builder Nation tomorrow, a very big season and European adventure in that one. You can find a link to the latest eventful season up in the eye above. There's also links there to the Twitch channel and the football podcast, but thank you very much for watching. I don't know what to say. The frustration will pass, the results need to come, but this is now getting very difficult. I'll see you next time to find out if we can cope.